I'm Samantha Brown, professional organizer, decluttering specialist, and business coach. I created Pro Organizers Coach podcast to empower you to reach new heights in your business. I am on a mission to build a supportive sisterhood of passionate professional organizers. So whether you're a seasoned pro or you're just getting started, this podcast is for you. Hey friend, welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. On today's episode, I have Susan Biro. She has actually been a coach now to CEOs and executives. She's got a TEDx and all sorts of things. She's been doing it for 24 years. So she knows exactly what we're going through as solopreneurs. And so in today's episode, we want to talk to you guys all about the ups and downs of being a solopreneur and how to stay on track. So thank you, Susan, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I am excited. Okay, so tell everyone, I know I kind of introduced you, but just tell them a little bit in your words what you do, and then we can definitely dive into the topic.
Yeah, so I've spent the last 24 years largely listening to very successful men and women who hold senior leadership roles in organizations. I've worked across industries and in many different parts of the world, listening to their inner thoughts, concerns, aspirations, frustration, challenges, and helping them to focus themselves to continue to deliver and perform and reach their goals and dreams. So I have been what I imagine all your listeners are right now, which is, a business of one. Like many listeners, I have a whole team of people, but they're all subcontractors. I've remained the only person that's employed by my company is me. And then the best, because that's the best structure for me. So, there's all kinds of benefits with that and all kinds of challenges. So we can speak a little bit about that. Yeah, but most
absolutely.
Yeah, that's been the bulk of my work.
I love it. And so you're actually getting to see like very successful CEOs and people at the top of huge companies, and you've been doing it for a very long time. And I think for me, that kind of makes me feel better when I'm like, oh, hey, so like they go through the same kinds of things that I do, and I know we're all human, but sometimes it's nice to be reminded that we're not like low man on the totem pole because we're solopreneurs, or we're not less than to some big company or whatever it is. Because, as solopreneurs, we can get in that comparisonitis game that we like to play sometimes. And so I love that, like, you have that perspective as we're talking to women that are, just getting started, or they've only been at it a few years, whatever the case may be. But most of them are solopreneurs.
Well, I think you just raised a really important point, is the regard in which we hold ourselves and how we think about ourselves, and the value that we bring is absolutely key to continue to add real value and to build a business where you can serve other people, because you're here because you can serve other people. And to really value that, you really have to decide for yourself and know the value that you bring. And I believe that entrepreneurs are some of the greatest people on the planet, because the risks that we're willing to take by not having a steady income, and the belief we have to have in who we are and what we can accomplish and what we can achieve, is really incredible. And in my experience, it outperforms any salaried job, or it has the potential to. And so I think we need to hold ourselves in that regard. And remember, this isn't for the faint of heart. If you have chosen to be a solopreneur, you are brave, you are courageous, you are also really clear that you have something to offer that is valuable. And so I think we need to continue to come back to that and hold ourselves as clear partners with everyone we partner with. Because for me, it doesn't matter whether it's a CEO of $1 billion company. I've never run a $1 billion company, but I don't need to add significant value. And in fact, I'm usually better not, because I come with fresh eyes. And I understand how to coach and develop other people, as do everyone that is listening, to improve their life or their work or their communication or their ability to effectively interact with others. And so that's the value that we bring.
No, I agree. You said so many great things there, but the one that like really hit me is, as organizers, I think a lot of us, especially when we're first beginning, I actually just recorded this like 3-part series of additional services you can offer as a professional organizer, because in my mind, we're problem solvers, right? I may not have done the thing before, but coming with a fresh perspective, the fact that my brain works the way it does, the fact that I've worked with other clients, like I know I'll be able to offer them value. Sometimes for a lot of my clients, it's even just the back and forth of it, of them saying what they want and, letting me know and then helping them come up with, okay, how do we do this? And it being a collaborative process with clients. I think in the beginning of being an organizer, you think, oh, I've got to have all the answers when I go in. I better know everything, or I can't offer that as a service. And exactly what you just said, you've not ran a $1 billion company, but you're able to coach them and help them because of the value you bring as a coach. And as organizers, we do a very similar thing.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was starting out, one of my mentors said, even bad coaching is great coaching. And that really helped me a lot because you're giving your attention to another human being and paying attention to them, their life, and their goals and their dreams in a way that matters to them. And there is incredible magic, as you know, of tidying up, of organizing, of getting clear, of feeling focused. The feeling of that is priceless. And so I think just remember that your attention alone and your desire to listen to and pay attention to another's life is really incredibly valuable. And I think with changes in AI and what's happening in the world, it's going to continue to be more and more valued. Is a human connection with another human being that understands what it is to feel frustrated and overwhelmed. And you can bring focus and peace and some fun to that process. I mean, I think that's priceless.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm glad that you said the thing about fun because our clients are so overwhelmed naturally that even something as small as like, playing music in the background kind of low, but to where it brings that energy and that vibe with it. Or, and I talk to my ladies all the time about like creating that wow experience for their clients because then they're going to become your biggest marketers. They're also going to call you back when they need something. Like it's a very interactive kind of thing for me when I go to do an organizing session with clients. And the better I can create that experience for them, and like you said, listening to them, holding the space for them, allowing them time to be seen and heard in a way that they may not have been for years.
Yeah.
Those are the little things, along with the fun, that are going to make them blown away at the experience that you give them.
Well, I would even argue that I don't know that those are the little things that may be the sole
Mm.
reason they are hiring you. And yes, they end up with a more organized home, for example. But perhaps the
Mm-hmm.
greatest thing that you brought and gave was the feeling of feeling seen, of not feeling alone, not feeling overwhelmed for maybe the first time in years. I mean, that feeling, again, I think is quite priceless. And so it's not to be undervalued for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of that, as solopreneurs, I think we can totally relate to our clients, right? Because the idea of feeling alone, that's one of the reasons I created POC to begin with, is because when I was starting my journey, I felt so alone starting my business by myself. Then I'd go and try to work with clients or try to do pay whatever it was I was trying to do to build the business. Am I doing it right? Am I not? Like, and there wasn't anyone to go to. I mean, I had a coach at the time, but if you've not been an organizer, it's a different kind of, coaching. And so I was like, you know what? There's not a community out there except a few on Facebook, but there wasn't like a face-to-face interactive kind of community. And that's why I created my group coaching community, is because as solopreneurs, I believe 1,000% we need community, we need support, we need coaching, we need friendships that are also solopreneurs. Like we need all of that if we're going to succeed. Because, like you said, solopreneurship has nothing but ups and downs, but it is so, so worth it in the long run.
Yeah, yeah. And from my perspective, I don't know a single CEO or senior leader who doesn't belong to multiple communities, invests heavily in time and money in CEO circles, in entrepreneurs organizations. I know myself, I spend a lot of money and time in peer groups because no one else understands my world, but the payoff is immense. Not only do I feel like inspired and excited, because those are people who are out there fighting for their dreams too. And I find them to be some of the most encouraging, generous people because they know what it's like. And so if they can help you, they'll share an insight or a tool or a referral or something that can really, save you years of heartache trying to figure it out yourself. And then you have this
Mhm.
group of peers that really is, your place of home in the world. So I commend you for starting it because it
Oh, well, thank you.
exists.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like it's been my pleasure. I get just as much benefit out of it. Like I know I have to do a lot of back work and all the back end things that, sometimes I'm like, but it's so worth it every time we get together to coach and I get to see my ladies and like how they're doing and their new clients and I don't know, like it makes, all of it worth it. So, I have a question.
Mm.
So, but coming back to kind of talking about like just the ups and downs of being a solopreneur, as far as you're in now, what are maybe a couple of things that like you wish someone would have told you in the beginning when you were getting started with your
Yeah.
business?
Yeah. Oh, it's such a good question. One is this kind of work demands that we live it. If you want to help other people organize their lives, you kind of have to organize yours. If you want to be a personal trainer, you kind of got to live it. For me, if I want to advance the personal development of very successful people, I have to be continually working on my own. So it is, I think the nature of we're not only trying to run a business, but then we got to come up against ourselves again and again and again and again. And it's part of the work, but the payoff is worth it. So I heard, gosh, maybe like 8 years ago, there was a panel with Sir Richard Branson and some other really high level entrepreneurs. And they asked the panel, what's your definition of entrepreneurship? And this one woman who I didn't actually know who she was, but obviously very successful, said, I think entrepreneurship is sitting at your laptop on a Friday at 11 p.m. crying. And I thought, okay, I am clearly an entrepreneur. I think the journey it's a hard one, but it's totally worth it. So when it's hard and you're frustrated and you're overwhelmed and it feels like you want to be, so much further ahead than you are, or you haven't had a chance to do this yet or that thing, that feeling, if you're growing, if you're continuing to grow, will always be there. I feel the same, there's so many things that I want to accomplish. And that's the nature of an entrepreneur is we have so many ideas and so many things excite us. And so the feeling of being overwhelmed or a huge mistake, or I've spent money on things that just flopped completely. I wish someone would have said, don't beat yourself up over those things, that just keep going. Just keep going. Look at where you want to go and keep, okay, that didn't work. Okay, I tried that. And now I find that I turn my, my inner critic to the voice of like an inner champion that says, go, 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 try that. Yeah, that didn't work out at all, but you're the kind of person that tried it. So I'm proud of you. So, because, I have colleagues and I have, groups I'm a part of, but so many decisions lie solely with me.
Mhm.
And then the consequences, the outcomes lie with me. And so I have learned that I'm going to have my own back and I'm going to be the voice inside my head is going to be, I'm so proud of you for your continuing. I'm proud of you for trying. I'm proud of you for going after your goals and dreams. And every time I reach one, I think, yes, I can count on myself to make my own dreams come true. And then I know how to do
Oh,
that
that's
for people.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can count on myself to make my own dreams come true. And it's done through dedication and hard work and commitment and knowing and being aware of the fact that you are going to be, on most Friday nights at your computer at 11 p.m. bawling your eyes
Yeah.
out. Like
And
that's
that's
just part of the
normal.
journey.
You're in good
That's
company.
normal.
Yeah,
Yes, you
that's
have
what we
tons of
do.
company. And so I think that, hearing those little things are such great reminders, but what was cracking me up of what you said of your inner critic, I have now turned mine to where she's like, "Get it, girl, get it, girl." Like I hear that little like
Right.
like tune in my head when I start doubting or I come down to do a podcast episode or I'm not feeling it and I really need to go down and do something. Like I have to like get myself hyped. Like I'm my own hype man to get the things
Yes.
done.
Well, this is why I think is it Beyonce who has an alter ego, Mimi or
Sasha
something?
Fierce.
Or
Yes.
okay, right? I think that's why performers have that because we're not going to feel like it all the time. There's all kinds of fears, doubts, concerns, anxieties. Got to pay the mortgage, blah blah blah. And so more often than not, we're going to have to whip ourselves up And sometimes we're gonna, feel great, and other times we won't, but we just keep going. You just keep on, keep on. And then I think, every success that we have, everything we do that we didn't think we could do, even if it didn't work out, it's like, well, I know what not to do. I mean, it's almost like our own MBA. The
Yeah,
best.
it's that failing forward. I tell
Yeah,
my girls all the time, like, all right, you failed forward. Woohoo. All
yeah,
right, we won't do that again. Let's keep moving.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, one of the members just this week at our group coaching membership, she had went back and listened where I did a coaching episode with her when she first started. And it was only maybe 4 months ago, 5 months, like it's not been that long.
Yeah,
And so for her, she was able to go back and listen to it. And she came to the coaching session and she was like, it's crazy how much I've grown in just these few short months, right? And I think that's the other thing I love about, like, I do a replay vault. And so that way, like every coaching session we've ever done is in that replay vault. So you can go back at any time and kind of see where you were. Because to me, having that reminder and being able to be like, hey, where was I just a few months ago? Sometimes that alone is enough, or whether you keep a
yeah,
diary or whatever it is to like keep track of what's going on. So that way you're able to look back and be like, wow, like I've come a lot farther than I thought I had, or that,
yes.
in the day to day of the grind, it's easy to get discouraged. And the second you go back and you're like, where was I last month? Or where was I this time last year? Oh my gosh.
Yes, I've had the same experience where I will, at the end of a coaching engagement, I will summarize where we started from. And often clients will say, "Oh, wow, was that really an issue?" And I'll say, "Yeah, like that was the reason you hired me. We looked at if this is going to be successful, what needs to be different at the end of our work." So much so that they don't even remember it. And I think that's what's really exciting when we grow and develop and change, is that we look back and go, wow, was that really a concern for me at one time? Or that was a real challenge for me at once, or I didn't really understand what was needed there. And we look back and we go, wow, I'm in such a vastly different place. And that is so rewarding, because I think we're continually increasing our capacity to handle
Hmm.
challenges, ambiguity, change, and so we're kind of like we become like a cat. Throw me off a roof, I'll land on my feet. I mean, I know how to handle stuff.
Hmm.
And that's a really
Absolutely.
priceless feeling.
I mean, it honestly is. The only way to get there is through the action of doing and
Yeah.
failing and doing and failing and succeeding. And I think that, it just kind of hit me while you were talking about that. Anyone with a regular, like 9 to 5, that's totally fine if you're doing this as a side hustle. There's no judgment. But we're kind of on the topic of solopreneurs slash entrepreneurs, right? And so, at, if you are a person that's working for someone else, it's a lot easier to get in that same like routine of each day. There's not as much growing that has to happen as what there is when you are an entrepreneur, period. And so whenever, like, of course there's going to be those times that it's stretching us, and of course it's going to be those times that we feel down, and of course all the emotions under the rainbow are going to be coming at us, because we are growing and because we are doing the work that matters. Not that what they're doing doesn't matter, because it does, but the work that matters to us chasing our dreams and accomplishing them.
Yeah.
That's hard work.
Yeah. When I coach and mentor new coaches in the executive realm, I will often say, because you can make the path really hard, or you can make it easier. I say make it easier if you can. And I will often say, don't do this to pay your mortgage. At least in the realms in which I coach, is I need to say and challenge my clients in a way that sometimes might piss them off and want to fire me, and some have. But I'm the only truth teller. And so that's my literal job, is to ensure that we are dealing with reality and that they are becoming more effective, because they manage and touch a lot of people. And so I think it's really just, critically important that we,
No, that we
yeah.
don't just pay our mortgage, and that, like, it's when you're training your newbie coaches that.
So for your listeners, thank you. Don't do this for your listener. If you want to make the path easier, keep a 9 to 5, build this out until you have the income that can support it, and then launch it. If you're trying to create a coaching business or any kind of business, The pressure is so great. I mean, most businesses don't make money the first couple of years. That's typically how it goes. So, if you can make the path easier for yourself, please do that. You don't
Yeah,
have to
and I
worry
love that you
about
said a few
everything.
years because I tell my girls all the time, like in my courses I've created and everything, I'm like, listen, 9 months to a year minimum before you have any kind of resemblance of clients coming through the door at a pace that feels like, ooh, I might make my bills this month.
Yes,
Like
yes.
9 months to a year. And that's if you are doing the work day in and day out for those first 9 months to a year minimum, right? And so I try to tell them, like, I don't, even if you do a rideshare job in the middle of the day while you've got like whatever you need to do. And I don't know how many of the women, I can think of a few inside of the group coaching community that literally, one of them in particular, I can remember she was at this place where she's like, I'm going to quit. I've been doing this for a few years. It's not taking off the way it should. Like it's had ups and downs and ebbs and flows, but I'm just at a place where like I have to be able to pay my bills, and so then she was like, well, what if I just tried ride sharing? The second that pressure was off of her, and she was like, oh, I've got some income coming in,
Yeah.
boom, she started getting clients left and right. I've got another one that she got a side job like cleaning for a church and doing some VA stuff. No sooner did she do that, and she started getting calls, people
Yes.
stopping her at the gas station to ask her what her sign was on her car. I mean, when you're in that pressure of like, oh my gosh, I've got to pay my bills. If I don't get clients, I got like that energy does not bring clients to us at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of desperation doesn't work because then you're trying to get something from someone else and no one wants to be sold and no one wants to be in a relationship where it's all about you needing to get something. So I have, as soon as I could afford to, I created, like, I keep at least a year's worth of salary in my business account so that I don't need to take any single client. And that is a wonderful place to get to because now I'm interviewing clients. I can only take on a handful of people every year because it's very high touch work. And so that puts me in a very powerful, useful position is let me see if I can serve you. What are you looking for? What do you need to see if am I a good person for this client? Do I believe we can be successful? And am I going to enjoy it? Because at this stage in my life, I don't want to work with someone where it's going to be a nightmare. I want to work with people who actually want this process and who want me. And then it's a really, really wonderful experience and it tends to be enormously successful. So, these are all milestones to work towards, but where you can
Yes.
have a second job. I started out working in my mother's barber shop. She made me work in her barber shop, but 13 years to put myself through school. And then, when I went through school, by the time I came out, I still couldn't make a living, so I still had to go in the barber shop. And I tell you, I felt like a failure. I mean,
Mhm.
the clients would come in, they're like, "Oh, couldn't cut it, didn't make a bit."
Ugh.
Like it would, I mean, people would say just the rudest, meanest things, and that's just the nature of what occurs.
Hmm.
And so I felt like a loser. I know what it is to be made to feel like a loser, like can't cut it, had all the opportunities in the world, and yet I kept going, I think there's a way. Something inside of you has to call you to go, I think this is possible. I know I can help here. And you just hang on to that little tiny ember and fan it as much as you possibly can. Don't share it with anyone who's going to bring you down. Watch the circle that you spend time with. Spend time with people who are
Yes.
chasing their dreams, i.e., your circle, because those are the people that will encourage and uplift you. Other people, bless their hearts, they don't know how to do it, and they can bring you down. And so really
Yeah.
go with your
You sounded
circle.
like you're from Tennessee. Bless their heart.
Yeah,
That's what we say when we're like, okay, okay.
yeah,
But I love what you said there because, you know, you have to fan it. You have to know that you're called to this. You have to know that like there has to be something inside of you like calling you forward.
yeah,
But if you don't take the time to, like you said, make sure who you are surrounding yourself with is key. Like there's still to this day quite a few things that if it's like a new course idea or a new something, I hold it very close to the vest until it's ready to go out So much so that my most recent at the beginning of the year, I had a few of my members tell me, they were like, Samantha, I've heard you like promote this thing like twice. And I was like, oh, wait, what? Because I was so focused on making sure it was powerful and it was good and it was all the things. And I don't ever want to say something ahead of me knowing what it looks like, right? When it's more of the online space, you know? And so, anyways, big lesson learned there, big failure learned there. I only had a few people, but it was a fantastic, mastermind we did. But again, that was just the beginning of this year. I've been doing this how long? And I still screwed that up. And I put months into that mastermind thinking it's going to be so good and so many people are going to want it. And it cracks me up because again, we're at that place where, you get to the point where you're like, hey, I'm just growing. It's okay. I know I'm meant to be here. I don't know how many times, and I don't know if this has happened to you, but there have been a few pivotal kind of fork in the road moments for me where it felt very like, all right, are you going to double down on this thing that does not look like it's working? Or are you going to go a different way and go do something else and quit?
Right.
And I have met that fork in the road at least a handful of times at this
Oh
point,
my God, I've
minimum.
wanted to throw the towel in so many times, but the truth is I didn't want to do anything else. Man, once I
Right.
even went and looked for a job because I just thought I am done. I went and interviewed. I was 3 interviews in, and halfway through the interview, I just thought stopped the interview and I said, I'm not the person for you. I can't come here every single day. I can't have someone else tell me what to do. I'm unemployable. I need to follow what I came to do and work in the ways that I want to, work. And so and I think that, like, I don't know if your experience has been this, but every single thing I've ever done, the real value in it was who I had to become and, who I became in the process of trying it. That was the real
Yes.
value. And so there's nothing done in vain. The
Mm-mm.
idea of launching a business is an incredibly risky endeavor. The fact that you are here even trying it, you're above almost the majority of the population of people who only dream about it and never do it. If you've had any success, if you've had your first client and your first credit card swipe and cash in your bank, you're a real business. And
Yes.
if you've made some money that you can then reinvest into your business and you can try to sustain yourself, maybe not even wholly yet. Just that's really incredible. And so I think if all we do is focus on that, we have the mindset that is needed to continue.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, right? It's all a mindset. You can choose to shift your mindset, you can choose to think a different thought, but if you're not allowing yourself or being open to those ideas or to learning more, which obviously if you're a listener of a podcast, you're on the right path of learning from other people, how to change your mindset. But it definitely takes a different mindset to be a successful entrepreneur and solopreneur, especially because you have no one else to really lean on most of the time. And so I'm so proud of all of my ladies, like even the ones that reach out and they're like, hey, I just launched, or hey, I'm even thinking about launching. I'm like, congratulations. Because it's
Yes.
those little steps that, like, if we would like celebrate them more and be excited for them, and exactly what you said. If you've had one client, if you've just started the business, you're in the top probably 0.5% of the whole world. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a very small population, and
yeah.
it's
And I
something
think
to be proud of.
the true entrepreneur is encouraged, like excited by every potential. I was just off a phone with a potential client. I'm so excited about the potential of working with her.
Hmm.
I've never lost that. It's so, the fact that someone will choose me over every other choice that they have, and we get the opportunity to do something that we love and believe in it's awesome. It really is
It
awesome.
really is. Yeah. And being thankful for that is huge. Okay. So I know you have a freebie or like something you'd like to share with everybody about, I think, like your book, maybe? Is that what it was?
Yeah, well, a couple things. I so one of my dreams was to write a book. So it took me 3 years. Just the painful process we've just described. It was that wanting to throw in the towel, but it is alas almost done and available, and I'm proud of it. So it is called This Could Be Everything for anyone who wants to make their tomorrow better than today. Listeners can go to suzannebiro.com/book and sign up to get notified when it's available. When we launch, we will launch it for 99 cents in a digital download. It is intended to be a very usable book. I don't think there's much new information on how to live a very good life or how to lead business well, but it's about the application of it. And so that's what
Mhm.
I try to capture in my book is here's one big idea and here's a way to apply it in your life and in your work and in your relationships today. And then I just hand walk the reader through that. So that's one. The other is I run a podcast called the Deep Fear Podcast, where I just impart again one big idea, one way to apply it. So there's a free way for people to access insights if that's useful for them.
Yay. And I know they'll go straight over there and subscribe to it because it has to be fantastic. The few conversations I've had with you are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure to put all of the links in the show notes for everyone as well. But yeah, I appreciate the work you're doing and exactly what you said about being able to be excited for someone to choose you to be their coach. Like, it's similar as an organizer, but it's kind of a totally different feeling as an actual coach for someone to be like, hey, like I've interviewed a few people, but I want you to be the one to help me succeed in life, right? Like that's a very powerful and amazing thing. So I love that 24 years in, you're still getting excited about coaching people and about helping people. And as organizers, it's the exact same. Like just the lady I was with today, I've been at this 4 or 5 years now. I was doing random little jobs for her and I was excited to go to work. Like,
Yes.
that is an amazing thing to know that we can live that for our lives. And so, thank you so much for the wisdom that you've shared. And then, for all of you listening, we appreciate you so much and we will catch you in the next episode. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.